I just watched the Blue Jays get no hit by the Detroit Tigers, one of the worst teams of the last God knows how many years in baseball. Historic team, but they've not been so good lately. And the Blue Jays, really, this was just moments ago. I was delaying starting this video to watch the end of that game. It was a combined no-hitter. This just ended minutes ago. And I think that is why the Blue Jays are not going anywhere this year. They got like 12 runs yesterday. And today, 0 runs on 0 hits. A couple of walks. Hit batsman, but not the best team. For sure not the most consistent team, the Toronto Blue Jays. So there's your baseball content for the day before I get to Iron Maiden somewhere in time. And before I get to Iron Maiden somewhere in time, just a reminder that tomorrow I'm going to be going live, or maybe it's this way, live, right here on the YouTube machine. That's going to be at 8 o'clock Mexico, which is, I don't know what time zone they call it. It used to be Central because it was the same as Central in the United States, same as Dallas and Houston and St. Louis and Chicago, but Mexico did away with daylight savings time this year. So now there's a time difference. Anyway, who cares about that? 8 o'clock tomorrow. That's going to be Monday, July 10th. And 8 o'clock Central, or 8 o'clock Mexico time, which is in the west coast of the United States. That's 7 p.m. Central United States, that's 9 p.m. East Coast United States, that's 10 p.m. I hope it's not too late for you East Coasters. I don't know how many people from the United States watch, but you are all welcome. And don't be late. I don't abide tardiness, so please be on time. 8 o'clock Mexico time, Monday, July 10th. Come and join me and anybody else who's going to be there. Thank you. So now I'm going to get to Iron Maiden somewhere in time. My second favorite Iron Maiden now, but it's been well established, I think, at this point, that Power Slave is my favorite Iron Maiden record, and Somewhere in Time is number 2. Is it a close number 2? I'm not sure. It's a definite number 2. There's no doubt about that. But this is a great record. I love it a lot. This came out in 1986. And, you know, you get these weird memories. Something that I remember about this record, I believe it came out in September 86. And I got a dog that day. The same day I got Somewhere in Time, I got a dog. Not me, but my family. I was 16 years old. And I went to, I lived in Toronto, and there's a town or a city beside in the east, a little bit to the east of Toronto called Pickering. And I went to the Pickering, we were picking up this dog, and we were adopting it in my family. Her name was Tia. What a great dog she was. We had her for a long time. And we were adopting her from a family in Pickering who couldn't care for her any longer. And while in Pickering, which is right beside, I lived in Scarborough, which is, who cares about this, right? It's like a 15 or 20 minute drive, but I went to Scarborough Town Center, got this record, and then got a dog, Tia, with my family. So that's one of my memories. And this was, at the time, I think, this was a little bit, it wasn't controversial. This was the first Maiden record that had keyboards, a little synths, and a lot of metal fans didn't like that at that time. I had no problem with it. I love this album right from the start, and I still love it, obviously. Maybe I'll talk about the keyboards a little bit. I talked about that when I talked about Seventh Son of the Seventh Son a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, everybody, for your comments on that, and hopefully I'll get to those comments. Somebody pointed out, I can't remember his name, I think it's Roberto. His screen name, I think, is Hannibal. Thank you. He wrote a nice, long, very well thought out comment mentioning that, you know, he agreed with me that Can I Play With Madness? At first I didn't like it, a little bit too commercial. The keyboards during the chorus, Can I Play With Madness? The prophet who looked and he laughed at me. The keyboards through there. I didn't really like that. He said he didn't like it either, although he pointed out, and I don't know if I pointed out in the video, the keyboards in the intro of Moonchild sound great. And I think the keyboards on this, I have really no problem with them. But some people did at the time. Synthesizers or guitar synthesizers. Maybe I'll talk about that as I get into it. And I did see this tour, and I have a prop. I think it's been a while since I had a prop. Here's my my ticket from this tour. This was March 21st, 1987, is that close enough? Can you read it? In Toronto, of course, at Maple Leaf Gardens with Wasted. I had to write it. Sometimes the tickets had the opening band printed on it. Sometimes they didn't. And if they didn't, I always wrote it on. So now, what's that, 36 years later? Is that right? 37 years later, I can say, hey, I remember because I wrote on my ticket that Wasted opened. This was actually the first of two nights. Iron Maiden played two nights at Maple Leaf Gardens. My friend Pete, we went to the first night. He went to the second night also. I didn't. I just went to the first night. And this was my second Iron Maiden show after I saw them on the Power Slave tour, I guess 2.5 years before, November 30th, 1984. So there it is. And now I will open it. And as mentioned, I don't have it in the big box. I got this close to a month ago, so I want to make sure it's the right record in case I have to send it back, that I'm still within the 30-day window that Amazon allows. It's correct there, but I had a problem recently that some of you may be aware of, that the sticker here was not correct. So here we go. I'm going to open this and then go through it track by track. And what do I remember about this package? Oh, now about album covers, because especially with Iron Maiden and Kiss and Motorhead, I guess, album covers are very important. This is, what's my favorite Iron Maiden album cover? It might be this one. This is the first one. Power Slave was pretty cool because it had all those details down the, the I don't know what you call it, the road that led to the big Eddie thing. Had, and the hieroglyphics had some cool things. This one was the first one I really looked at really deeply. It had a lot of cool stuff, especially on the back. This would have been great as a gatefold to open it up. It's possible that this is my favorite Iron Maiden album cover. Second favorite album, possibly the favorite cover. And I remember also the cover was, I guess, kind of embossed. I have a feeling this is not, because Power Slave was also embossed, the original one, and this reissue is not. So I don't think this one will be. But let's see. There it is. Oh, I love it. Oh my God. Just everything about it. The colors. Look at that. Isn't that a thing of beauty? And I guess it's the maybe the back cover that has more details on it. Although I never liked, and looking at it now, I like it even less, the band themselves. Derek Riggs was still doing Iron Maiden covers, and the band themselves looks, I think this was the only album cover, at least drawing, that they appeared on. Not very good. But so many cool little details on here. The Ruskin arms. What else is on here? The Ancient Mariner Seafood Restaurant. The clock is 2 minutes to midnight, 23:58. It's got the West Ham score. Is it West Ham or West Ham? I'm not enough of a footy, not a foodie, but a football fan or a soccer fan to know. Phantom Opera House. Really, what else? Live After Death. Blade Runner is playing in the movie theater here. Really cool stuff. You could look at this for a long time. And they had a little bit of the Power Slave hieroglyphics here. So excellent. And I can feel that it is not embossed, and I don't really care. Now here, this was the one, I didn't always think, I think now that this is strange. I think maybe Power Slave did this too. They put the running time on it, which was, I think, almost like a flex, like, look at us, eh? Look at us. We made a 51-minute and 18-second album, because back then albums were 35, 40, maybe 42, 43 minutes. So I guess at this time, 51, 18 was pretty long. Maybe it would say that on the hype sticker of Justice for All, the original and Justice for All. Metallica hype sticker pointed out that was 63 or 64, 65 minutes. But that was a double record, so that's enough about that. So there's another Aces High bar. There's Acacia here, 22 Acacia Avenue. I guess that's supposed to be the name of the street, is Acacia Avenue. Excellent. And no hype sticker on this, so I don't have to exit to go take a photo of it. So I will get right to it and open it. And this one doesn't have, it's sealed up tightly, so I have to be careful opening this one. I think I got it. All right. And it's coming off in little pieces. I got to make sure my cat doesn't get a hold of that. And it's glossy, just like the other. And Seventh Son of a Seventh Son and Power Slave, they're glossy. I prefer matte, but it's a very, very minor infraction. And there it is, nice and shiny. What did this, the inner sleeve, the dust sleeve or dust jacket, whatever it's called. I don't remember. I know it had the lyrics, and I think it was kind of like a bluish color, the inner sleeve. There's a picture. What does this look like? I'll take a look. Of course, yeah, that's the kind of blue that I remember. There it is, and there it is. Yes, I remember it now. Kind of a blue and yellow. Excellent. And let's see what the record looks like. I guess the record, the labels are different on one side than the other, I think, in keeping with... Oh no, it's the same one on both sides. On the other Iron Maiden records I got, the labels on the actual record were different on each side. So there it is. If you like that sort of thing, there's the actual label. And I know this album cold. It was Caught Somewhere in Time, Wasted Years. The last song on side one was Heaven Come Wait. What was the third song? Oh, Sea of Madness, of course. Flip it over and you've got, first song was The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, Stranger in a Strange Land, Deja Vu, and Alexander the Great. So I know this quite well. Let me put this back. I'll still keep it out for reference. So the opening song is Caught Somewhere in Time. And Iron Maiden never disappoints with the opening songs. Their opening songs, I've talked about this before. Moonchild and Aces High are two of my favorite Maiden songs ever. Caught Somewhere in Time, I don't know, top 10 maybe? I really like Caught Somewhere in Time. It's up-tempo as you would expect. A little bit of a slow intro. This one also had synths or guitar synths. I'm not sure what they were. The very first thing you hear is you hear this keyboard synthesizer. Didn't care, thought it was great, but I know a lot of people didn't like that. If you had a time to lose, if you had the time to lose, an open mind, a time to choose, would you care to take a look or can you read me like a book? Time is always on my side. Love that song, and they're opening with it now on this current tour, the Future Past tour. They're focusing on this album. Next is Wasted Years. Wasted Years was the first single and video from this album. Loved it right from the start. And I still love it now. That was one, a lot of people didn't like it. It's a little bit more, some might say commercial. I would say it's more melodic. I thought it was great then, thought it was great now. I think it's great now. And it's become a little bit of one of their, they don't play it every tour, but I think they really give Wasted Years a lot of respect. They're closing the recent shows, from the recent tour, they're closing shows with Wasted Years. It's the last song, which I think in Maiden world, that's a real sign of respect to close the show with whatever song. They closed the, was it the Book of Souls tour? I think they also closed with Wasted Years. But I love it. And I remember at the time, I thought, I was 16 years old when this came out. I thought that was Maiden's kind of like their swan song. They kind of sang, and lyrically in Wasted Years, it was like they're kind of, tired of touring and being a band, and they just want to be home. And I thought, wow, this is maybe the end for Iron Maiden. And that was, as I said, 37 years ago. But that was what I thought lyrically. Next is, what did I say it was? Oh, Sea of Madness. That's a great slamming riff. Did they do that live on this tour? I can't remember. I think they did. Obviously they did, as I mentioned, Caught Somewhere in Time, which they opened with in 80 on this tour, 86 and 87. And I got the tour program from this too. I think I probably have it still somewhere in my parents' house. They used to have these big tour programs that used to buy. They were like $10, which everybody was, outraged over back then. So Sea of Madness. That's a great song. Also, a little bit, maybe some would say commercial. I would again say melodic, and some keyboards, some synthesizers in that too. Again, no complaints. I think Sea of Madness is a great song. All three songs so far are great. And even more is the next one. The last song on side 1 is Heaven Can Wait. This is my favorite song on the album. And again, in my top whatever, blah, 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 Iron Maiden songs. Top 10 maybe, let's say. Oh man, I love that song. And keyboards in that song too. And it's just it's not quite long enough, I would say, to be an epic like Rime of the Ancient Mariner or Alexander the Great, which is coming up, or later there was Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. But Heaven Can Wait, oh my God, what a great song. And that when they do it live, the middle part, the whoa, 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 and they bring everybody, I guess when they did it back then, they brought their crew on stage to sing it. When they did it, I think the last tour they did it was the Somewhere Back in Time tour in 2008. I saw that tour twice. And they brought fans out to do it. Did they? I think they also did it on another tour, maybe 10 years ago, so somewhat recently. But oh my God, Heaven Can Wait is my favorite song on this album. Amazing song. Can't understand what is happening to me. This isn't real. This is only a dream. But I've never felt this way before. I have I'm looking down on my body below, or as I have a lust for the earth below. As I lie asleep in the midst of a dream, is it now could it be the angel of death has come for me? I can't believe that really my time has come. I don't feel ready. There's so much left undone. And it's my dream and I'm not going to let it get away, whatever. I think I mixed some of the lyrics up there. Fantastic Iron Maiden song is Heaven Can Wait. If you turn this son of a bitch over, the first song you're going to hear is called The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. And when I was 16 years old and I saw that they had a song called The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner. People always say, I remember very well. I don't remember very well. I do remember, but I don't remember very well. I don't know if I was disturbed or I didn't like it, or I just thought, what is this? The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner? This is a heavy metal band. It should be The Loneliness of Satan or, something like that. I thought, what the hell is The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner? Didn't care about that because this one is maybe my second favorite. If I were going to rank the songs on Somewhere in Time, I think I would maybe put Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner second. Very, very heavy song. It has kind of a little bit of a quiet intro. And then when the lyrics come in, tough of the track, something with feel the wind and breathing down and beating down in your back. Amazing, quite heavy song, up tempo. Would have been a good, if not for, I guess the length of it and the fact that it wasn't the first song on the album. I think it would have been a good concert opener. As far as I know, they never played it live, which is too bad because I think it's a great song. How long is that one? I think it's around 7 minutes. Do they have the running time on here? Let me take a look. No running times on here. I think it's in the 7 minute range. Next is Stranger in a Strange Land. This is also quite commercial. I would even say one of the most commercial Iron Maiden songs, at least to this point for sure. Of their singles, yeah, probably this was the most commercial. Maybe they've done a few. Can I Play with Madness was maybe more commercial, melodic, whatever you want to call it. Kind of a mid-tempo song, the bass and drums opening. And also, I think there's keyboard in that song too, a little bit. But I love this song too. It's a great song. Every song so far is great. And spoiler alert, they're going to continue to be great. This is one of, I think, the rare Iron Maiden songs that fades out. Iron Maiden songs always have a abrupt, I don't know what you call it, abrupt or a cold ending. But this one kind of fades out, which to me is a little bit very un-Iron Maiden-like. I'm sure they had, leave a comment down below. What other Iron Maiden song fades out? Maybe after they had some, But is it possible that this is? It's not. That's not something that I have knowledge of. But it does stand out when you listen to it, that it fades out. That's kind of strange. And they're also doing that one on this tour. I haven't heard that live since, well, because they hadn't played it live, I think, since this tour, or maybe in the late 90s, I think, or early 2000s when Bruce came back. Maybe they did somewhere, Strange in a Strange Land. But I hope that tour comes to Mexico. And that had that single, the Strange in a Strange Land single, had also great artwork. Next is Deja Vu. This was one, also a quiet intro. I think this album was maybe the start of Iron Maiden doing these, and they still do it now. They do it, I think, way too much now. So many songs they have that they start quiet, then they get kind of heavy, and they rock, let's say, and then they end quiet again. This album maybe started that. The Loneliness, the Long Distance Runner started quiet. Didn't end quiet, I don't think. Deja Vu has that, and next, Alexander the Great, which I'll talk about in a few seconds. But Deja Vu is fast, a little bit, tiny bit, almost thrashy. It's very fast, the drums. And I think are there keyboards in that one too? And you know that your time is for, and you know that you feel Deja Vu. I like that song. And also you might learn a bit of French if you listen to that song. And then the last song is Alexander the Great. This was, at the time, I didn't dislike it, but to me I thought it seemed like an obvious attempt at doing another Rime of the Ancient Mariner, which I've said is not just my favorite Iron Maiden song, my favorite song ever by any band. And I thought this, and it was long. Again, I can't check. There's no times listed on here. I think it was around 9 minutes, maybe, no, not 10, 8 or 9 anyway, pretty long. And it was the last song in the album. I thought, it's another, it's an attempt at another long epic song like Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And I like it, but I was a little bit disappointed because I think I knew before this album came out that they talked about, we have this long song. It's 8 or 9 minutes long, Alexander the Great, and blah, blah, blah. And when I first heard it, I was a little bit disappointed. I love it now. And here's, I just realized here, looking down at, here's Flight of Icarus, a nod to Flight of Icarus. So I like Alexander the Great now. Now, this is one that they're playing on this tour that everybody was very, very excited about. And I talked about this a month and a half ago when the tour started. I made predictions saying I can't imagine they'll play Alexander the Great. There's no way they're going to play a song live for the first time that's 37 years old. There's no way. And then they did play it. And everybody was very happy. If it had been me, we play these stupid games, well, they should have done this, or I wish they had done this. I'm not saying they should have done this. And I'm not even saying that I wish they would have done this, because it's not my place to say that. But in a fantasy world, I would have much preferred to have heard The Loneliness of the Long Distance Runner, which doesn't even matter because as far as I know, I'm not going to see this tour. But yeah, Alexander the Great, it has that classic Iron Maiden kind of a slow gallop, long, epic sounding, and then they would continue that with Seventh Son, the Seventh Son, the title track. But I think this album is where they started to get a little bit extended with these intros, and not quite outros, but intros anyway. So that's it. That is my second favorite Iron Maiden album, Somewhere in Time. And one quick reminder, if you scrolled ahead to see the end, don't forget, live stream tomorrow on YouTube, 8 o'clock Mexican time, or Mexico time, however you say it. I hope to see you there. Everybody is welcome. Bring drinks, and as I said, be on time. And until then, this has been Iron Maiden, Somewhere in Time.